A woman returned to pay respects to her late husband, only to witness a heartbreaking scene at the train station. Her husband had been gone for 10 years, yet his dog was still waiting faithfully at the station entrance after all this time.
Hachi?
Hachi had lost the shine of his younger days, and 10 years was nearly a lifetime for a dog.
Oh, you old thing, you're still waiting.
An old snack vendor nearby turned away to wipe his tears, perhaps the only one who truly knew what Hachi had endured over the decade. As she stroked his coarse fur, the woman could feel the loneliness the dog had carried through all those years of solitary waiting. This film was based on true events that took place in a small American town. At the train station, a little puppy found itself lost in the crowd. Perhaps by fate, it happened to meet Parker, a music professor on his way home from work.
Hey, buddy, you lost?
Parker gently picked up the puppy and searched for its owner, but even after the last train departed, no one came forward. Left with no choice, Parker brought the dog home, and since his wife didn't like pets, he quietly settled the puppy in his study, telling it to stay put. Just as he closed the door, his wife came downstairs to greet him. She approached Parker with a mysterious smile, saying she had a surprise for him. Parker smiled awkwardly, replying that he might have a little surprise for her too. As they headed upstairs, Parker glanced at the study, silently praying the little guy would stay quiet tonight. But minutes later, the puppy jumped off the couch and playfully pawed at the piano keys. When his wife noticed the sound, Parker quickly suggested it might be tree branches hitting the window. Then the puppy pushed open the study door and followed their scent upstairs. Finding the couple in bed, the curious dog licked the wife's foot. Like a child caught red-handed, Parker explained how he'd found the dog and promised to find its owner first thing in the morning. And his wife, though upset, had to agree. The next morning, their daughter held the found puppy while her mother took their picture. She loved the little dog and wanted to keep it, but her mother firmly opposed. It wasn't that she disliked dogs. She'd once had one herself and watched it grow old and die, and that painful goodbye made her afraid of going through it again. Parker understood his wife's feelings, and after careful consideration, he took the puppy to his friend's bookstore, asking if she could help by posting an adoption notice in the window. When the puppy poked its head out, his friend was instantly charmed by its adorable face, but the store's cat clearly didn't appreciate this unexpected visitor, so Parker hurried away with the puppy. Running late for work, Parker secretly brought the little guy on the train. The puppy's whimpering caught an elderly woman's attention, and since animals were strictly forbidden on trains, Parker worried about being reported, so he calmly pulled out his newspaper and mimicked dog sounds, which dispelled her suspicions. During class, the puppy escaped from the backpack and curiously explored the stage, eventually lying down to rest, showing no fear of the unfamiliar environment. After class, Parker learned from his friend that this was an Akita from Japan, and the puppy wore a wooden tag carved with the character for 8, which meant good luck in Japanese culture. Understanding this, Parker decided to name him Hachi and asked his friend if she wanted to adopt him, but she smiled and said Hachi had already made his choice. After work, Parker brought Hachi home, and his wife looked helplessly at them, realizing her husband wanted to keep the dog when she heard he'd already named it, because once you name a dog, it becomes a bond you can't break. Parker quickly denied it, but during their argument, they discovered Hachi had disappeared, and when Parker found him, Hachi had already damaged his wife's model, months of her hard work, and she angrily threw them both out. That night, as fierce winds blew, Hachi peered through the gap at the arguing coming from inside, seeming to realize he'd done wrong, and lying quietly in the shed without a sound. Worried the puppy might be scared, Parker secretly picked him up and brought him into the warm house. Since he'd just fought with his wife, Parker didn't dare return to their bedroom, so he settled on the couch with Hachi, watching baseball and sharing popcorn. When his wife came downstairs to check on the noise, she found her husband fast asleep on the couch, and as she moved to turn off the TV, Hachi licked her hand as if to please her, and Parker woke up just then, holding the puppy and apologizing so carefully that his wife finally forgave them. The next morning, Parker played fetch with Hachi in the yard, but Hachi never bothered with the thrown ball. Just then, his wife received a call from someone wanting to adopt the dog, and as she reached for paper and pen to write down their address, she looked up and saw her daughter and husband playing with the puppy outside, and this heartwarming scene touched her, so she declined the adoption call. With that, Hachi officially became part of the family. As time passed, Hachi grew into a large dog who stuck to Parker constantly, and whenever Parker left for work, Hachi would stand pitifully at the door, staring at him with longing eyes. One day, unable to bear the loneliness any longer, he dug a hole in the yard and escaped. Parker had just boarded the train when he spotted Hachi on the platform, both surprised and delighted, unable to believe how Hachi had found his way there. So he had no choice but to miss the train and take Hachi home, filling in the hole he'd dug. Parker had to rush to work, and after warning Hachi not to dig any more holes, he left, leaving only his wife and Hachi in the yard. Hachi rolled onto his back, watching the lady tend to her flowers, and seeming charmed by his cuteness, she took out treats and fed them to him piece by piece. Hachi lay bored in his doghouse until the train whistle sounded, then suddenly jumped onto a cart and leaped out again. Panting heavily, Hachi arrived at the train station entrance and sat on the flower bed waiting for his master to come home from work. And when Parker emerged, Hachi immediately jumped into his arms.
Hey, Hachi! What are you doing?
Who wouldn't feel warmth in their heart seeing their dog come to greet them after a tiring day at work? Parker assumed his wife had brought Hachi, but the snack vendor said he'd come on his own. From that day on, Hachi escorted Parker to the station every morning, then turned back home, and at exactly 5 in the afternoon, he would sit by the flower bed waiting, and upon seeing his master exit the station, would enthusiastically leap into his arms, washing away Parker's daily fatigue. Whether it was windy or rainy, scorching hot or freezing cold, this became their unspoken agreement, and gradually, everyone in town came to know Hachi. One day, their daughter brought her boyfriend Michael home, and the prospective son-in-law was understandably nervous meeting his future father-in-law. So, to ease the awkwardness, Michael tried to play fetch with Hachi, throwing the ball out, but Hachi just stood there motionless. And Parker told him Hachi didn't fetch balls, leaving Michael to sheepishly retrieve it himself. The next day, the professor mentioned this to his Japanese friend, who smiled and explained that Akitas don't like to please humans, and his appearance at the station meant they shared a special bond. But if he ever suddenly started fetching, there must be a special reason. At their daughter's wedding, Hachi appeared in the family photos, having unknowingly become an irreplaceable member of the family. One morning, Parker headed to work as usual, but Hachi acted strangely, circling in place as if trying to tell Parker something. Parker thought he might be sick, but after checking and finding nothing wrong, he turned to leave for work. Yet this time, Hachi didn't follow.
Last chance. Bye.
As soon as his master left, Hachi rushed to the shed, grabbed the ball he'd never fetched before, and chased after Parker. When Parker was about to enter the station, he turned to see Hachi running breathlessly toward him with the ball in his mouth. And Parker was amazed, tossing the ball experimentally, and Hachi ran without hesitation to fetch it back. And in that moment, the professor couldn't hide his joy, showing off to the station manager like a child. But Parker had completely forgotten his friend's warning, and with work about to start, he had to enter the station. And seeing Hachi circling again, he could only comfort him and promise to see him at 5 o'clock before turning into the station. Hachi stood wordlessly on the platform, watching the train disappear with a heavy expression, unable to keep his master from leaving after all. That day, Parker taught class as usual, still playing with the baseball in his hand, when suddenly his face went pale, and the next second, he collapsed in the classroom. At 5 o'clock that afternoon, Hachi sat punctually by the flower bed waiting, but this time his master didn't come, and the little guy's eyes were full of confusion, not knowing what had happened to Parker. Suddenly, a beam of light hit Hachi's face. It was Michael coming to the station to take him home. That night, Hachi peered through the gap at the sadness permeating the house, seeming to understand what had happened. The next day, their daughter came to Hachi dressed in black, petting him as her father used to.
This is how he did it. Try to learn.
Tears in her eyes as she left for the funeral. At the funeral, all friends and relatives came except Hachi, who still arrived punctually at 5 o'clock at the flower bed across from the station, waiting for his master to come home from work. Searching the crowds for that familiar figure, and Hachi waited until dark again, and the station manager's eyes reddened as he watched, coming over to him.
You won't have to wait anymore. He's not coming back.
No one had taught Hachi what death meant. He only knew that his master didn't come yesterday didn't mean he wouldn't come today, and that 5 o'clock appointment became Hachi's reason to keep waiting. Unable to face the house full of her husband's memories, the wife sold it, and Hachi was taken in by their daughter, watching familiar places fade into the distance, the light gone from his eyes. At the daughter's house, Hachi had his own little shelter, but he was listless all day and no longer clingy. One day, Hachi suddenly ran from the house, heading resolutely into the distance, still missing his master even though he didn't know the way home. Perhaps guided by past memories, Hachi found that familiar street corner and that familiar house. But the people inside were strangers now, and realizing this was no longer his home, he returned to the familiar station, arriving exactly at 4:55, sitting in his usual spot, hoping his master would emerge from the station. And people who saw him again cast surprised glances. Even the vendor who used to shoo him away couldn't help offering a hot dog. Parker's daughter and son-in-law came looking, knowing Hachi would be here because this was his devotion to his master, and she missed her father too. So Hachi was her only emotional connection to him. Back home, Hachi remained dejected, not even eating, only perking up at the distant train whistle. And seeing Hachi's hopeful eyes, his daughter understood his wish.
No, we love you, Hachi. We want you to stay here with us. But if you have to go, it's okay too. Goodbye, Hachi.
After that, Hachi became a true stray dog, And regardless of wind or sun, heat or cold, the flower bed became his home, begging for food on the streets when hungry, sleeping on abandoned railroad tracks at night. One day, Hachi met another dog, and seeing its well-groomed fur and loving owner, Hachi's eyes grew melancholy, remembering when he too had a master who loved him, though he didn't understand why he never came back. 6 months later, a reporter asked the station manager about Hachi, having heard rumors about him and thinking it would make a good story. And after taking Hachi's photo and publishing it in the newspaper, Hachi's story spread everywhere, and people touched by his loyalty sent food and money, asking the station manager to care for him. Spring turned to autumn, day after day. Hachi waited steadfastly, and this wait lasted 10 years, lasted his entire life. In the 10th winter, the wife returned to town for her husband's 10-year memorial, and Parker's friend came too, lamenting the swift passage of time and mourning their departed friend. And as they were returning from the memorial, the wife saw a familiar figure on that familiar street, an old dog with faltering steps slowly making his way to the station. It was Hachi who had kept watch for 10 years, his once shiny coat now dull, his gait no longer sprightly, struggling toward the flower bed to sit as always. And the wife realized what this meant, coming to Hachi in disbelief, never imagining that for just one promise, Hachi had waited 10 whole years, and she held him tenderly.
It's all right. Can I wait with you for the next train? Oh, Hachi.
In the end, Hachi didn't choose to leave with the wife. On a cold winter night, Hachi seemed to sense his life nearing its end, struggling toward the flower bed. And soon after, Hachi slowly closed his eyes. And in that moment, his memories with Parker flashed before him like a slideshow.
Hey, wait.
And in his haze, Hachi seemed to truly see the one he'd longed for day and night. And in the lamplight, they seemed to return to the day they first met. And this time, Hachi finally jumped into Parker's warm embrace.